You know, here. Well, 1 second into the podcast and we're ending the podcast.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Well, friends, here's what's going on right now, and then we will start the show. We usually record on Thursdays, but we couldn't do that because Lindy was doing Hollywood stuff, which we'll talk about in a second. So we're recording on a Friday afternoon, and in Washington, D.C., it's Friday afternoon at 5:00 p.m. And I've already had one glass of wine. So what I will say is, welcome to Tipsy Back Podcast.
Cute.
I'm Meagan Hatcher-Mays.
We've never done this before, I think. We've never had a Tipsy Back.
We've never had a Tipsy Back because I, believe it or not, love to remain sober for my professional obligations.
What?
What?
Tipsy Back. Tipsy Back Podcast with mug of ale mug of ale Hatcher-Mays. No? Hold on.
So close.
I can come up with a good one.
Moscato Hatcher-Mays?
That's good. Captain Morgan Hatcher-Mays. and
Lager West.
Oh, I am Lager.
Yeah, that's your name.
I live in the woods and I log. Lots of hours on the toilet.
Hey, speaking of logs, bang, 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 bang.
Anyway, I'm not tipsy, but I am sleepy, which is a form of tipsy. So we're going to get into it.
That's a form of addiction.
It's a form of being denied my drug of choice, which is sleeping. Being sleepy is a form of sobriety.
A form of toxic sobriety. Yes. Anyway, welcome to Tipsy Back Podcast. We're going to do a show now. What are we going to talk about, Lindy?
Well, we're going to do a couple of things today, Meagan. We're going to talk about tidings because I have had a action-packed week. I have lived the life of the young, Meagan, for 2.5 full days, and I'm going to tell you all about it. I'm exhausted.
I can't wait.
And then we asked and you all delivered.
Oh, they certainly did.
We're going to bring you some incredible tales of the killer, tales of ghosts, tales of spooky chills from you, the listeners.
From you, the listeners. I'm so excited. The ones that we're going to be playing / reading are very terrifying. Many of you have lived terrifying lives.
Dude.
You know? Sometimes you guys send in stories and I'm like, damn. And many of you who listen are women. Hello, girls. But some of you will send in stories and be like, isn't that crazy? Ha ha ha. And I'm like, oh man, we sure are, as women, desensitized to the scariest shit I've ever heard in my life. So
yeah,
thank you for sending in your tales. We will be playing them
and
later.
I'm sorry that happened to you.
And I am sorry. And I'm sorry to me because it happens to us all at all times of the day and night. A shout out to the killer.
And then, according to the spreadsheet, Megan's telling us one last little story. So be on the edge of your seat for that.
I know. I would love to preview the story for you, yet there is no way for me to preview it without just telling you the punchline. So listen to the end. By the way, speaking of listening to the end, did you know Tipsy Back Podcast has one of the highest completion rates in the industry?
In the world.
They're saying, yeah, in the world. Do you know that they're saying that like 96% of you are listening to this show from start to finish?
Yeah.
And did you know that's unheard of in the podcasting industry?
Sometimes it's upwards of 98% on an episode.
That's crazy, girls. That's crazy, girls.
We showed for the first time, we let our producer, Allie, in through the back door to look at the numbers.
At the analytics.
And you know what she said? She said, wow. She literally said, I've never seen numbers this good for any podcast.
Hello.
I just feel like we owe these listeners a great debt, and we should be rewarding them more.
We should reward them with them subscribing to our patreon.com/textmebackpod, which comes with many goodies, such as Shrill Rewatch, such as what we're actually texting about, such as the music of Text Me Back. Someone DM'd us about that on Instagram, and they were asking like, oh, that one song that you played, is that a whole composition or is it just like a little one-off? And I was like, all the music on this show is bespoke compositions by our, what do we call him?
Our czar of Sound Force.
Yes, Ahamefele Jeoluo. And all of the songs that you hear on the show are just snippets of full songs. Yeah. And if you are a Patreon subscriber, you can download all of them, full versions, babe.
You get the whole album,
/TextMeBackPod,
plus a few extra secret tracks. So that's worth it. Megan and I are revving up to start our Shrill rewatch of season 2.
Yep.
One of these days. And we're going to get back on the horse named Text Me Back After Dark.
Yes. Also. Remember her? She's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So there's a lot going on in the Patreon. We love you. We're so grateful to you. Thank you for listening all the way through. And let's do another episode. Do you think we should do another episode?
Yeah, I think we should tide. You know, I just want you guys to know, because we don't really make videos anymore, that Lindy and I do a little dance to that every single time it plays. And it's so satisfying.
Okay, you know what we should do? We should make a supercut of us doing the dance over and over and over for the Patreon.
Sometimes the dance is very funky. Yeah. Sometimes it's a little bit more,
today it was
experimental.
Yeah.
Today it was very flowy, I think. Yeah.
Very folk life festival.
It's interpretive. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Lindy, I heard you've been hanging out with the youths. Tell them all about it.
Megan, I'm so tired.
Oh my God.
Megan. Okay, so here's what happened. We have a secret mentor, a silent partner in this podcast. We have a shadow man who looks over us.
Yes.
The elusive man who, when we were just starting out, when we were going independent especially, I said to him, please, sir, please help. Please tell us how to podcast. And he gave us a lot of really important wisdom. His name is Young Hot Hollywood 30 Under 30 Professor Dr. Caleb Heron.
That's what they call him. That's what they call him.
Of So True podcast fame.
And, we love to joke that Text Me Back Podcast is one of the top podcasts in all of media, but So True podcast, I believe, is top podcast in all of media.
I think that's right.
Yeah,
I think that's right. And so I was like, Caleb, because first of all, backing up a tiny bit more, Samantha Irby and I were like, we should write a TV show together, but we hate to work. And then Sam came up with this funny concept. And so we were like, yes, we're gonna write it and pitch it. And then we were just like not doing anything. And then Sam was like, I mentioned our idea to Caleb and he thought it was really funny. And so he wants to do it with us. And so then for a minute, I was like, oh my God, I'm hitching my wagon to a star. This is my meal ticket. I am never loosening my teeth on this man's coattails. And so then we worked on our show pitch for like, I'm going to say a year.
Yeah.
Sam and I never did our homework. Caleb would come to the meetings prepared. He would be the boss of the meeting. He would say, okay, well, I sketched out an outline for the pilot story. I wrote character, like he did.
And like, meanwhile, he's like 17 years younger than you.
Correct. He's very successful, very famous, absolutely doing us a favor. Yes. And then Sam and I not even lifting a finger because we are old and stupid.
Because so then, it's cottage cheese in there, in the brain area.
So then eventually Caleb was like, girls, I have to go. You missed your window.
Wishing you all the very best.
Like, I am so stressed and tired, and I need to go do all of my other jobs. So canceled my frickin' meal ticket. Fine.
Respectful.
I know. But he did email me and say, will you be the guest on the Seattle edition of the So True podcast live tour, which was on March 19th, Wednesday, Delightful. March 19th. And I said, are you freaking kidding me?
Yes, I will exploit this relationship for my own gain. Thanks, girl.
Yes, I will. And so then I explained my limitations. I said, well, I no longer live in Seattle. I live in the woods. And so I do need a hotel. Will that be a problem? He was like, no, of course. And then he was like, well, actually, we have some extra days off in Seattle, so I think we're just going to get a big Airbnb. Do you want to just stay at the Airbnb with us? And I was like, I'm sorry, 2 nights at the So True Hype House? You think I'm turning that down? Like,
I don't think so, Playboy. Let me grab my ring light. Let's get into it.
And like, again, this is a person who just like is my friend who likes me. And to me, I'm like, this is my big break. On some level, I'm like, all right, let's go, girls.
I'm actually dying at this because you are so successful. Like, you like a New York Times best-selling author, had a TV show, have an honorary doctorate, and you're like, I have to hitch my wagon to this star. I'm dying. It's like, but
Meagan,
you're famous also.
But he knows how to make the YouTube videos, Meagan.
You're like, wow, little country mouse Lindy West finally makes it big.
Like, literally on some level, I was like, all right, I gotta really shine. I gotta show him what I got at the So True Hype House. So anyway, but back in the day when I asked Caleb for advice on the podcast, he set us up with his editor, which is who connected us to our angel editor, Allie. He helped us set up a meeting with his YouTube guy, who you might recognize from our credits, digital strategist Chance Nichols. We had 2 meetings with him, and then we were like, put him in the credits. And like, it makes it sound like a real podcast. And
yeah. Also, he helped us with our YouTube strategy. We do not do that anymore. and we're like, leave him in. He deserves it.
I know. And also, like, the meetings were just him being like, he didn't say this. He's so nice. And he gave us really good advice. But like, you can tell that on some level, he's like, I can only do so much for these ladies. You know,
guys were born in the 20th century, and I wish you all the absolute best, girls, because there's nothing I can tell you that you're going to be able to use.
We were like, how much does it cost for you to do it? And he was like, no.
$1 million. But next question.
So he's now, digital strategist Chance Nichols is now, I'm proud to say, probably my best friend. So Caleb tours.
And I would like to be really clear that doesn't hurt my feelings at all. So please continue.
Yeah, no, it shouldn't. Game recognize game. You got to know when you've been beaten, Megs.
Honestly, I do.
So Caleb is traveling with 2 producers, Chance and Virginia. They're all from Missouri.
Oh, wonderful.
I know. Sons and daughters of Missouri.
Honestly, a beautiful state that is just going through a tough time right now.
Yeah.
Love it.
It has so much heart. Like, so I come into the Hype House. Oh, you and I were just talking about this yesterday. I've been sort of realizing the magnitude of how much trauma I have around comedy, around writing about comedy in 2012 to 2014, and then being just absolutely brutalized and like rejected by the comedy elites. And every comedian being like, Lindy West is a fat loser who wants to destroy jokes.
Like specifically comedians who we both have on beat up old VHS tapes that we were like obsessed with. We're like, I wish you would die. And it's like, oh,
they're like, you're not funny and you hate comedy and I'm going to kill you. And I was like,
but on top of that, I'd like to say you're ugly as well. Oh,
and I'm like,
thank you.
That's in an acute way, scary and upsetting. And then in an existential way, very destabilizing, because that feels like the opposite of how I've always conceived of myself, which is that, that I'm a funny person who loves comedy and wants there to be more comedy. So anyway, when I get to interact with what I think of as real comedians, I get very in my head and I get very anxious and a little weird and a little desperate. So
same. Yep.
Even if, again, I know them, they're my friends and they're 13 years younger than me and they're fans of mine. But so I spent 2.5 days at the So True Hype House. It was like, I got there on Wednesday. Caleb and I sat around and talked about, you know, life and show business or whatever, the ups and downs of life. And then we did the show. The show was really fun. Chance and Virginia are perfect. And then I started to grow like more and more, again, desperate to be liked. And I started doing a shtick that was not really a shtick, where I was doing a bit that I was desperate to become their fourth best friend.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine me being your fourth best friend? Can you imagine it?
Can you?
Is that something that you can imagine? Keep me posted.
I would be like, you know, 4 best friends in a booth eating chicken wings, right? Like every second. We should call ourselves the Four Stooges, and then like made a group chat called the Four Stooges and forced them to text me in it. Mm-hmm. So, you know,
did you?
Yeah. But it's satire, Megs. It's funny.
For sure.
It's ironic.
Well, that's what I was just about to say.
But it's not.
Chance, if you're listening.
And then meanwhile, I had a counter shtick going where every 2 seconds I'm like, I'm an old woman who you hate. What the fuck, dude?
The famous bit that the kids know and love. An unsettling old woman has arrived. My favorite joke.
I know. And so anyway, okay. So they just run me ragged, Megs. Like, because they're not even like, they're not super partying, you know, they're just like experiencing life in a normal way that you do when you're 30.
Their internal clocks are able to stay awake past 9:45 p.m.
And so like, I sent them Seattle recommendations before I came to town, all of which were like, here's a bakery that opens at 6:45 if you want a really good croissant. And then I get there and they're like, oh, Lindy, have you been to Vindictive Wings? They were like, that's our favorite restaurant. And I was like, I have never heard of that in my life. And then they're like, it's sort of near the Crocodile. I was like, oh, sorry.
The Crocodile? What do you think I am, 25?
You guys think that I've been to a chicken wing restaurant in Belltown?
I'm sorry, you think I'm going to 4th and Bell in downtown Seattle? Are you crazy?
But Megan, so then we finished the show on Wednesday night. And they're like, all right, it's time for chicken wings. I say, okay, guys, I'm ready.
By the way, could I just say that to me, like the actual barrier here is that like they're traveling from like Queen Anne to the U District and then to Belltown. That's actually literally psychotic. If you want to do something, it better be within a 1 block radius of the Neptune, because I'm not going to a second and then a third location.
Psychotic.
Please, children. Insane. You want me to get on 99 and go to a chicken restaurant?
It does cause you to see your town in a new way. Like, you know, they, with their virgin eyes, looked at the map and they discerned Queen Anne to be close to the Neptune.
madness. When you told me that they got an Airbnb on Queen Anne, I was like, why?
Well,
they're going to have to drive
I know.
to the Neptune.
But-
and then where are you going to park?
Here's the thing, Megan. They just did it. They just did it. They just did it. They drove over there. They parked. We did the show. We got back in the car. We drove to Belltown. We
Insane.
parked. Yeah.
Oh!
We ate chicken wings. The chicken wings rocked. The chicken wings rocked.
Two minds unburdened by logistics.
Yep.
It's a dream of mine, really, to outsource all of my logistics to someone else so that I can think of things like, I guess I'll drive from Queen Anne to the U District and then to Belltown and then back to Queen Anne, and that will feel normal to me, I guess. Also, to the extent that they spend much of their time living in Los Angeles, I guess that doesn't seem so terrible.
Right.
But to me, it's like, oh God, that's like 85 miles of driving.
Right.
To
like
very distinct neighborhoods. Who has the time for the code switching?
Queen Anne to the U District, like, is all contained within Burbank. You know what I mean? Like, they would never, they would not bat an eye. So, okay, we get we eat the chicken wings. We're there for like at least an hour. We go back to the Hype House. It's like midnight, probably. They settle in the living room to chit chat for another 2 hours.
My God.
And again, Megan, don't forget, this is my big break. As an old crone, this is my last chance.
You're like,
to impress.
Does anyone have any cocaine? I actually literally need it. I cannot stay awake.
That part's not irony. And also because I was trying to fit in, I had half of a beer at Vindictive Wings, and I just can't drink anymore. It makes me sick. I think it's probably the Zoloft. I'm not sure, but something I can't. I start to get sick halfway through the first drink, and indeed I did. And then I was like fully like sick, not throwing up or anything, but I was like hung over in the bed from literally half of a lager, and then I like barely slept. But I have this FOMO, and I have to, shoot my shot with the young people of Hollywood. And so I got up, we went to breakfast. Virginia and I went and did a bunch of work at a cafe. Then I had dinner with our friend Hester.
Oh, angel.
The So True kids had, and I can't resist this. They insisted I stay another night. I was planning to come home last night. And they're like, no, Lindy, you have to stay.
I mean, this is your big break. You're an up and comer.
Yeah.
You got to stay the extra night.
I want to be loved. I want them to want me.
This is so embarrassing, but honestly, the approval of the youth is a natural de-aging serum. There's something about it that is just so intoxicating, speaking of addictions and toxic sobriety. But like when my nephew laughs at one of my jokes, I've never been larger. I've never been more important. My significance has never been greater in the culture on this earth.
Yeah.
I could get 1,000 laughs from my peer group.
Yep.
One laugh from a 14-year-old, it's over for you hoes.
I could list for you right now all the jokes I made that landed this week. And every single time I was quickly, like, yes.
Really quickly, I'm really glad you brought that. I feel like you and I have actually never talked about this, but I absolutely keep an inventory of moments that I made other people laugh. And I think, and then that's what I spend my evenings doing, is just going through. And then sometimes, you know what I do? Sometimes I'll write an email that I think is funny, and I'll go back and reread it like 8 times just to be like, yeah, that was good.
Totally.
Anyway, that's just called being vulnerable.
Yeah, just being
on
vulnerable.
Tipsy Back Podcast.
So I get a text in the Four Stooges group chat, and it's Chance. This is, by the way, like 7:30 p.m. at this point. It's raining.
And you're on Queen Anne still.
Hester and I had dinner like in the ID. So,
okay. Oh, yes.
I know, so much driving, Megs. So
yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'm ready to go settle into bed or like go back and like hang out with my new best friends
who will also want to spend their evening in, surely after 2 nights of being out and about.
I was like, I'm going to stop at Metro Mart. I'm going to buy some banana pudding. And I know once I offer these guys, these cool cats, this banana pudding, they're not going to want to go anywhere.
I'm going to get the banana pudding and 4 spoons, baby, and they're not going to want to go anywhere.
I'm going to have them in the palm of my hand. So I'm sitting at the restaurant. Hesty and I are wrapping up our little sushi dinner. I get a text from Chance. He says, we're about to head to Hattie's Hat, Lindy.
Ugh.
If you want to squat up. Exclamation point for me.
This man wants you to go to goddamn Ballard? Are you
Meagan.
out of your fucking mind?
Meagan. And again, if you take your little Missouri peepers and you look at the Google Maps, you say, oh, yeah, Queen Anne and Ballard are adjacent. Sure, we can drive over to Hattie's Hat.
Girl,
they don't understand.
There's a bridge involved. There's a body of water that separates the two.
You have to traverse a waterway. It's not done.
Okay.
It isn't done.
It isn't done. Not during rush hour, which, by the way, lasts from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. now. Okay.
Right. So Hester, of course, is like, you're not doing that. She's like, don't do that.
Hester was already in bed at this point.
She's like, come on. And I was like, okay, but
Girl, be for real.
But I'm like, okay, but I stayed an extra night. Like, why am I here if I don't go hang out with my new best friends?
You were like, Hester, you don't understand. This is my big break. They might give me a TV show, something I've never had.
So, by the way, at some point during all of these proceedings, I am fucking pancaked by the realization that these people are closer in age to my daughter than to me. Because Penelope is 23 years old and
Yes.
Caleb and Chance are 30 years old. Virginia, a healthy 36, I think she said, maybe 34.
I love that.
But Lindy West, 43. So I am 13 years older than our boys, and they are only 7 years older than my daughter. So
Incredible.
anyway, also, there was this moment where I was talking about how the most baller thing that's ever happened to me is that when I did Kathleen Hanna's book event, she handed me an envelope with $1,000 cash in it. And she said,
IRS, if you're listening, no, you're not.
and she said, per diem should always be in cash. And then I handed it back and I said, I would like to do it above board.
Yeah,
please send it. I'll here's my W-9 and please send it via the IRS.
Yeah, that I remember that. I was there and I do remember that happening. Yeah.
Yes. And so I start to tell that story. And then I think, oh, an opportunity to do my shtick about being old. And so as a joke, I start to go, Kathleen Hanna is like, she's like a woman from the 90s who played music and they're all like, oh, cool. Interesting. Yeah. Oh, well, she sounds really interesting. She like immediately is like looking it up and being like, oh, wow, her book sounds really good. And I was like, oh, because then also if it didn't,
They don't know her. Open the schools.
And also since it didn't land as a joke, it just sounds like I was saying it in the dickiest tone.
Being a dick.
She's a musician from the 90s.
Do you know what a guitar is, little baby?
So anyway, like, dude, I am unraveling at this point, but I'm like, what's your agenda for the rest of the night? I'm going to stop by the house for a minute, but if you're staying out for a while, I could come find you. That's what I said. LOL. Chance replies immediately, "We'll be at Hattie's!" exclamation point. And then a quote. It says, "Don't delay, Caleb." Caleb has said, "Don't delay."
Oh, Lord.
I'm thinking of Caleb's essentially my boss at this point. I'm like,
yeah,
I can't disobey a direct order from the boss.
Yeah, I mean, he's the CEO of Warner Brothers Television. What are you going to do?
It's exactly.
Say no?
I can't. I can't. It would ruin me. So,
possible.
and also, I'm also very flattered. I'm a very weak person, Megan. I have a weak, fragile ego. I'll take any scrap of validation. So anyway, so I go over there. I get to Hattie's Hat probably like 9:30.
Madness.
And we had a great time.
Yeah.
I walk in, they're having tater tots.
Oh, that does sound nice.
They're coming up with a funny plot for a fake movie. They're playing improv games, essentially.
But they were like just being wholesome little youngsters.
Yes.
That's so cute.
And it was so cute. I was like, I'm so glad I came. This is so cute. I'm glad I didn't miss my last night with my Four Stooges. That's what we call ourselves. And then we go back to the house and I'm like, great, maybe we'll have like a little chit chat on the couch and then I'm going to go to bed. Nope. We get home. Chance sends out a group text to the Four Stooges within the house. He says, pajama party in the basement, 10 minutes. I'm like, what?
Oh,
it's like truly midnight at this point, maybe 11:30.
Oh no.
And then these young people, they keep me up till 1:30 in the morning.
Oh my God.
Watching Tropic Thunder.
Oh Lord.
In a basement on Queen Anne Hill.
Again, I must ask, who do you think you are watching movies in the basement of a Queen Anne craftsman? Me in 1998? Is that who you think you are?
It was wild. It was.
I can't. I honestly, all of this information is downright shocking to me. Shocking.
And then I had to get up and I had a business meeting.
Wasn't that like 9 a.m. your time too?
Yeah. Yeah. And then I had to drive all the way back out here to the woods to podcast.
Yeah. We together had a business meeting and we were sort of joking about your evening last night on the call. And then you were like, shh, I'm the only one awake in the So True Pod hype house.
And then right before I left, everybody got up. Caleb was like, so one of Caleb's friends works for the company that we had the meeting with. And so she joined the meeting just at the last minute. And I told, of course, some of my stories about my exciting week in the meeting. And then Caleb comes upstairs and like a fox with a hamster in its jaws, Caleb says, with no eye contact, he says, so I heard you told everyone I didn't know who Kathleen Hanna was. Because his friend texted him.
She snitched?
She snitched.
Wow. The youth have no regard for the rules of your disgusting. Disgusting.
Anyway.
You were busted, sweetie. You're kicked out of the Four Stooges group chat.
Back to only 3.
Back to single stooge.
In all seriousness, it's like I literally just did the same thing again that was already my crime at the house, which was being so insecure that I made everything about me. Because actually what happened is everyone was so wonderful. I find it very hard to like make new friends, especially now the older I get. And I just felt like I instantly have 3 new real friends. It was really fun. They're so sweet and nice and funny and like smart and normal and cool and good. And I had the best time. And I was just like, it was the adventure of a lifetime. And I just felt so, it was just really fun. It was like fun to be included in a cool thing. And the show was so good. And like Caleb is such a pro and a star. And like, I don't know how I ended up there, but it was, nope. You know what? I'm also good. And it was good. And Caleb invited me because he likes me. So
yes. So everything is actually normal. And my inner child is healed.
Yep.
Thank you.
Sorry that tiding was so long, but
that's really beautiful. And there truly is nothing more beautiful than when there's nothing you dread more than leaving your house and then you do, and it's really fun. And that's a very, very validating feeling. And I think you should be proud. You were being embraced by the youth and you nailed it, sweetie.
Thank you. Thanks.
Lindy's, you know what that is? That's another victory for Lindy's rebuilding year.
Yes. Lindy's going outside after dark year and hanging out with people who drink alcohol still.
She did it, babe.
I did it, babe. And here's how deep my pathology goes. Then this morning, Hester texted me and was like, did you go party? And I'm too ashamed to write her back and admit that I did because I think she'll be mad at me.
She doesn't care.
Meagan, I know. It's fucked up.
She genuinely wants to know if you went to go party and you were like, she's judging me. She don't care.
Meagan, I had 2 Shirley Temples.
Okay, come on.
6 cherries.
Ow. Okay, congrats to Lindy and her year of rebuilding. Honestly, congrats to Chance and to Caleb because you rock.
And
babe.
Virginia, my girl.
And Virginia as well.
You'll love Virginia when I bring you into the 5 Stooges.
Oh, Lord. We're gonna take a break. And when we come back, you're gonna get your frickin' spooks rocked off.
Yeah.
Or something. I don't know. Okay, BRB. Well, it's March, except it's also Halloween. It's Halloween in March. It's like Christmas in July, but scary and in March. So a couple weeks ago, we asked for you to all to send in your ghost stories. We did get some ghost stories, but we mostly got killer stories. But I think that the ghost and the killer are the same. You know what I mean? It's kind of like how a worm is a snake.
Yeah.
I feel like the killer is a ghost.
Yeah.
Also, if you think worm is to snake as killer is to ghost.
It's like the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Exactly. Lindy gets it.
The killer, the ghost, and the holy
pig butt worm.
Pig butt worm.
Yeah. So we're going to share some with you because I think they're scary. And March is famously the scariest month of the year. That's what they say. So,
dude, it is. It's like it's wet. The ground is mushy. Who knows what might bubble up from?
I was just going to say stuff is coming out of the ground.
Yeah.
You don't know what it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Spooky to me.
Some of us turn 1 year older and closer to the grave.
Ooh, closer and closer to perimenopause. Ooh. Anyway, our first ghost story is actually from a friend of mine who I used to work with. Her name is Hillary, 1L.
Hillary Clinton?
Be cool. Be cool. No, she spells it with 1L. If you spell it with 2 L's, you're liable to get jacked by Hillary herself. And this one's so scary. We listened to it and we're both extremely spooked. Listen to this.
Hi, Lindy and Meagan, longtime listener, first-time caller, big fan of the show. My name is Hillary. I live just outside of Washington, D.C., near our beloved co-host Meagan in the swamp. And I heard y'all were looking for ghost stories, and I think I've got a pretty good one. Now, my brief disclaimer before I tell you this story is that while I was technically present for it, I was not old enough at the time to retain the memory in my brain astroni. I think I was like 2 or 3 years old. So just know that you are getting this firsthand, but wasn't technically old enough to have retained the memory. So when I was about 2 or 3, my mother's stepfather passed away. And my mom and I traveled down to his funeral together for a weekend and stayed in a hotel with my Aunt Kathy, my mom's sister. Now, the night after the funeral, I think the funeral was like a Saturday, and so this was Saturday night, my mother experienced a visitation from her stepfather. She was not asleep, she was not semi-conscious, she was awake and alert and experienced what she describes as like feeling a picture, that she could feel the picture of her stepfather, and that he said something to her like, "It's okay, Barb, everything's gonna be okay." Her name's Barbara. I was asleep in the bed next to her while this is happening. So I was there. So my mom goes to sleep and wakes up the next morning. You know, we're getting ready for the day, and she looks over at her sister and she says, Kathy, the weirdest thing happened to me last night. And Kathy says, oh, did Dad come to visit you too? So yeah, ghosts are real. Love the show. Thank you for bringing us so much joy in this hellscape in which we currently live.
Hillary, that was so scary. I can't believe you were mere inches from a freaking picture ghost. What on earth?
What on earth?
I'm
or
scared.
in heaven.
Or what on heaven?
I have so many questions. Like, I wonder, are there different kinds of dreams? Because surely not everyone dead who shows up in your dream can actually be a ghost visiting you. Because
Yeah, but she says Barb was awake.
oh no, I'm not fact checking. I just there are people that I've known who have died who I dream about all the time.
Yeah.
I'm thinking specifically, maybe this is weird. You know who shows up in my dreams all the time is Justin Clark.
Oh, wow.
A kid we grew up with who's like wonderful and passed
Yeah.
away, I don't know, 10 years ago or so. Justin pops up in my dream all the time. And I just don't think that our friendship was close enough that Ghost Justin would bother to come visit me specifically that often. I mean, I would be very flattered because
Yes.
Justin
He was a delight.
absolutely
Yeah.
fucking ruled. Speaking of being intimidated in front of superior comedians,
Yeah.
funniest person I've ever met in my life. So I'm wondering, like, are there two kinds of dreams? There's like the kind where it's just your subconscious working things out and thinking about, ruminating on stuff. But then there's the kind where your mom, stepdad comes to say, hey, don't worry, don't worry, be happy.
I generally don't believe in ghosts necessarily, but I've had loved ones die in the past, and I have been awoken at a very like strange and sort of unusual time of night, and then it turns out that's when that person died. Like this happened with my grandfather. I woke up like right at the time that he died, and there is just this weird feeling of like visitation. What does it mean? And the fact that Barb is sort of like alert and awake, and that Kathy, her sister, had an identical experience. It's just so interesting.
Who can say what this world is made of?
Mystical,
What does it mean to be alive and then be dead? I don't know.
We don't know. We won't know.
Who's to say that there aren't little puffs of energy floating around?
I love the idea of it. That's like my favorite version of the afterlife is in His Dark Materials, Philip Pullman, this idea that you really do turn into this beautiful gold dust that like enlivens those who remain and, makes more perfect the world. I love that idea that we get to sort of like sprite around as little balls of energy.
I think that might kind of be true.
It sounds like it might be.
Here's my question. Again, I believe in Barb and Kathy and what they experienced.
1000%.
But it does also open the door to like all of the beloved people that I've lost who have never visited me.
Yeah. What's your fucking problem?
Hey, where's Auntie Austria at?
Hello.
Could you drop by? I love you so much. Hello.
Grandpa Bob, you are like my number one top bestie, sir. And I have a lot of questions actually as I sort through my own adult life. I'd love to chat. Give me a call. 703-829-0003.
Subscribe to the Patreon while you're at it.
Bob, if you could go ahead and subscribe to the Patreon, I'd love to talk. Grandfather, love you, miss you.
It is not for us to crack the mysteries of the universe, but I think one thing we know is true. Hillary was visited as a baby by the picture of a ghost whispering into her mother's ear.
Three-dimensional ghost photo. And that must have been so comforting for her mom and for Kathy both. So I really love that story. Thank you, Hillary.
Love it too.
Love you, babe. The next story we got is not a voicemail. It's not a recording. It was written in by our beloved Text Me Back-alite, Val. And it's a story of the killer who we've established is also the ghost. And here's her tale. I had a brush with the killer when I lived in the U District in my 20s. And assuming Val is like our age roughly, this would have been like 2000, early aughts, I would say probably. Yeah. If you're not, Val, I'm really sorry. It might have been 5 years ago. I don't know. I apologize. But anyway, one night after going out for drinks, my friend and I got off the bus on the Ave near the Jack in the Box. Surely that Jack in the Box isn't there still.
No, it's still there. It's still there.
Oh, isn't?
Yeah, this is giving us no info, actually.
Okay, it's actually not. But can I just say something really quick? I know that they had that horrible, historically terrible E. coli outbreak. But those J and the B curly fries, oh, girl. I would risk E. coli for them shits. They're so good.
Dude, and my previous top curly fry hookup, Burger Master, discontinued the curly fry.
Well, that
a few years ago.
Why the U District location has closed.
Yep.
Okay.
Sorry.
Anyways.
So
Val gets off the bus near the Jack in the Box and walked up the hill to the corner of 15th. My friend lived a few blocks away, so we said goodbye and I walked towards my building. I soon heard her calling my name, saying she had forgotten something in my apartment as she ran towards me. When we got inside my building, she said a middle-aged dude in a white button-down shirt had asked her, "Is your mind complicated?" Soon after, I had walked away. We waited in my apartment for a bit and then she went home. One afternoon, I stopped on that same corner and a middle-aged dude in a white button-down shirt stood next to me. He asked, "Are you a singer?" And I replied, "Oh, I sang in choir in high school, but I don't sing much anymore." He said, "You look like a singer." "Thanks," I replied politely. After a brief pause, he inquired, "Is your mind complicated?" And gave me the sweatiest side hug I had ever received. Shit, I thought to myself. Yeah, girl. Extremely shit is what I'm thinking to myself right now. The crosswalk light finally lit up green and I started to cross the street, but he did too. And then I started to walk down the hill to the Ave and he did too. I veered off the sidewalk and walked up onto the deck of a cafe near Grand Illusion Cinema, RIP. Soon I had a decent distance between him and me. He stopped and called up, "Hey, was that inappropriate?" "Yes," I called back. "Oh, sorry," he replied. And then he walked away and I never saw him again. 10 plus years later, I was diagnosed with ADHD. So yes, in fact, my mind is complicated. Thank you, Val. I'll never sleep again. Thank you.
I don't know. Maybe he was just offering a diagnosis?
Maybe he was a psychiatrist?
Look, I had a hell of a time getting my diagnosis. So
he was trying to give you a prescription.
Yeah.
Without you have to jumping through all the hoops.
No, we don't like a sweaty side hug from
a
stranger. We don't like a man who asks a question about the anatomy of your mind.
I know. You know what I don't like? I don't like that he had a catchphrase. Like, to me, that denotes premeditation.
Yeah.
It's giving, I had a folder full of feet pics. You know what I mean? Like, it just feels like it suggests plotting, I don't like it.
To me, is your mind complicated? Suggests wanting to look in there.
Yeah.
Which I don't like.
It reminds me of that. Sorry, this is about to be the dumbest thing I've ever said on this podcast, but it reminds me of that episode of Inspector Gadget where like the criminal would say, "Going my way." And like that, I think that was how he hypnotized people to get them to like do crimes with him or something.
God, I totally remember that.
Yeah, so it's really giving "going my way." Is your mind complicated? I do not like it.
It's actually, this is bringing something up for me that I had suppressed, which is that I had kind of a similar experience in the U District where I was walking. It was kind of late. I was tired. I was ready to go home. I was walking. These two guys and also a woman came up to me. They were probably like 10, 15 years younger than me. They're wearing just regular clothes, like t-shirts, jeans, I don't know. And they were like, "You have to come with us. It's going to be fun. We're going to Hattie's Hat. We're going to drive. We're going to the Baranoff and we're going to do karaoke starting at midnight.
Not the Barrett House. I haven't thought of that place in 50 years. We're going to drive from Queen Anne to the International District to the Ave and then back to Queen Anne. You in? And you said, do you have a podcast?
There's a late night bowling alley in Bellevue Square. We're going to drive there. Yeah, I said, are you interested in a feed swap?
You said, do you have cash for the toll? Don't worry. I do. Let's go.
Scariest question I've ever been asked.
Oh, terrifying. Val, thank you so much for that. I'm uncomfortable.
Yep.
Which is what we want out of this segment. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Val. I'm glad you have never seen him again. I pray for your safety.
Yes.
Okay, we have one more. And this one hit close to home for me, which I
sure did.
Don't appreciate, and I didn't like it. And honestly, you could have just not included this detail that implicates me, and then I would be sleeping easier. But all right, here we go.
Fine. Do you? It's
fine. Let's hit it.
Hello. I had a run-in with the killer, or maybe a ghost, possibly a ghost killer, but not Ghostface Killer. Anyway, I live in a rural part of the Salish Sea, not far from Lindy, actually, where it's kind of hard to be more than a few minutes drive from a beach. And about 15 years ago, I had a job where I usually finished up in the early afternoon. And so I would often stop off at this beach on my way home and go for a walk. And it was fall, so the days were getting shorter. And one day I misjudged how early it was going to be dark. So I'm walking back, and not only is it dark, but it's like creepy October dark. Like the moon is already up and it's full and the wind is blowing the clouds everywhere. It's totally spooky. So I'm hustling back to my car in the parking lot. And the parking lot is at the end of this road where there's lots of houses, but the beach itself has no infrastructure, no houses, no lights. So on my left is this dark wooded bluff, and on my right is the water. And close to the parking lot, with my car in sight, there's a sandbar. And the sandbar connects to the beach at one point, but then is divided by this lagoon. And on the sandbar, standing in the moonlight, is a man. And he's wearing all white. It's giving cult. And I already hate this because I'm a young AFAB person, so I do not want to be alone with a man. And as I'm kind of hustling up the beach, he turns and he walks directly towards me. He doesn't walk back on the sandbar. He cuts right through the water, like directly into my path. And I don't want to run. I don't want him to know how afraid I am of him, but I'm walking like as fast as I can. And he comes so close to me. His path crosses right in front of mine, so close I could have touched him. And he never looks at me. He doesn't acknowledge that I'm there at all. He just walks straight across the beach and like right into the woods. And as soon as he crossed my path, I ran the rest of the way back to my car. I never again went to that beach at night, and I have lived to bring you this tiding. The end.
That's a scary story I've ever heard in my life.
I don't like it.
Not through the water and into the woods.
Not him not acknowledging you in any way whatsoever. Like, what? That to me is the scariest part. To me, that suggests I could get you anytime. I don't need to do it now. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. I don't like it.
Like that.
I don't like it.
Can I say something for our listeners who have not been to the Pacific Northwest, did not grow up there, do not live there currently? You have no idea how scary, just inherently, the Pacific Northwest is, in a way that I actually find very comforting. I grew up around it. I feel like an odd sense of ease when I'm home because there is... there's something about the Pacific Northwest that makes you feel small in a good way. Like there's just all of this sort of awesome nature that is happening around you, but it's also deeply unsettling. Like when you're in the woods or on the beach and there's not anyone for miles, you just have this sense of like anything could happen to me and no one would ever know. You know what I mean? And that'll just be your feeling on a Thursday at 5:30 p.m. I think we're all kind of walking around feeling that way a little bit. And I really feel like David Lynch nailed this in Twin Peaks, that there's like extended scenes where it's just the wind whooshing through the pines. And there's probably no better depiction of the Pacific Northwest than that. Like this unsettling energy that flows even in the city at night can feel really sort of like lonely and spooky.
Yeah.
So like her being on the beach at night, in and of itself is very scary. You're like already your mind would be worrying. So to have this apparition appear when you're already in this vulnerable state is actually unimaginable to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's so scary.
It's so scary.
I don't like it.
The vulnerability is so intense because they're really just it's interesting how other people are simultaneously the most comforting thing and the scariest, least comforting thing.
Yeah.
And
I like truly like when you're kind of out in a remote area like that, the only thing worse than being alone is having one other person near you. You know what I mean?
Dude, one time I stopped, this was in Eastern Washington, but I stopped at like a viewpoint on a pretty remote highway in Eastern Washington. So I get off there and I park, and then I realize that there's one like van over by the campground. And I was like, I'm not going to let fear stop me from going and looking at this beautiful view.
Yeah.
Even though I'm like, as a woman, I feel like you're trained to listen to your instincts and probably not get out and go walk through the woods to look at this viewpoint. But I was feeling defiant.
Yeah. I don't like it when people tell me what to do, and that includes my instincts.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like I want to do what I want to do. I don't really care what you have to say about it.
And so I was like, fuck this. I'm going to do it. And then I'm just like teeth chattering the whole time. I'm just terrified the whole time. And I do this little loop. I don't see anyone. I don't see whoever this person is at the campground. I get to the end of the loop. This man pops out of the woods, like right in front of me. Oh. And he was like the kind of man that kills you in your nightmare.
He kill.
Yes.
He will kill.
His blade will. I was like, well, I'm not going to run. So I just sort of like power walked back to my car, and he just like watched me. Ugh. And I understand logically, like, okay, he's probably a guy who is camping and he was like looking for berries or something. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But the fucking thing where the men get mad.
I know.
And they get indignant when you say, I'm scared of you.
Yeah.
Because I don't know which ones of you I should fear and which ones are safe. It's like, how about instead of getting mad, you use your thonker a little bit and you say, I'm going to not step out of the woods into this woman's path in a absolutely deserted, remote wilderness location.
Perhaps if I do it on accident, I apologize and step aside. How about that? Something to think about.
And not stare at her blankly from behind my scraggly beard.
With a knife.
With a knife that, sure, you were using for mushroom foraging, I'm sure. But
sure. I mean, if you're going to be mad at somebody, take it up with the men. At your next men meeting, be like, hey, can you guys fucking chill? Because I can't even go out into the woods without freaking out every single woman in a 10-mile radius. Sure, I could shave my beard. Sure, I could do that. I could maybe clean my van. But, you know, maybe the rest of you guys could stop doing so much murder. People who are assigned female at birth are conditioned from a very young age to have a great deal of self-awareness. And some of that is for self-preservation, but some of that is because we're supposed to be nice. Like girls are supposed to be nice. And so we're taught like, just be aware of what's going on. Make sure that people feel comfortable. Make sure that people feel happy. Like don't be unkind. And men never learn that. No one ever teaches them that. And they have most men, not all of you, but most men are not taught to have self-awareness. And it is, in fact, a skill you need to be taught. You're not just like born being aware of your surroundings. And a lot of men are just like, well, I didn't do anything wrong. Why would you be mad? Because they're also not taught to have empathy for other people's experiences, which is really too bad for the rest of us. Thanks, though. You know? Anyway, I don't need to tell you that, but I'm just saying it's obnoxious.
When men get mad about the bear thing, it's like the bear, I understand.
Yeah.
The bear is hungry or it's protecting its babies.
Mm-hmm.
The bear doesn't have some weird thing where it can only get horny by eating me. You know what I mean?
For sure, dude.
Like, you guys are doing all kinds of crazy shit.
I don't have the time to dip into encyclopedia of male behavior every time I encounter one of you. But if we're alone on a trail, I'm going to assume you're the killer, especially if you're dressed in all white or if you have a beard. Sorry, beard people.
If there's one thing I know about a bear is not a pervert.
No.
And I can't say the same for a guy standing on a sandbar in the middle of the night in an all-white outfit.
One thing about bears, very likely they just want to chomp, 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 chomp.
Yeah.
One thing about men, I don't know what you all are getting up to,
exactly.
But almost none of it is any good.
Also, a human woman is near the bottom of a bear's preferred snack.
I'm all set.
A bear wants blackberries and a salmon.
I'm neither of those things.
Whereas in terms of a man's favorite prey,
yeah, that's women, baby.
It's women, baby.
Baby, that's women.
Baby, it's all women now.
Baby, that's women. Thank you all for writing in about the killer. Sorry, we got a little serious there. I guess we have some trauma we need to process. And that's what Text Me Back Podcast is all about. That's a Text Me Back Podcast guarantee.
Also, by the way, don't overcompensate and be like, hi, just want to let you know I'm not a murderer.
Unfortunately, that's worse than just being creepy. Actually, as soon as I was saying you could apologize and stand out of the way, that would actually be a red flag to me as well. So there's actually no behavior that you could do that would make me feel comfortable in your presence. Just go away. Thanks.
You know what makes me feel comfortable in your presence? Hustle. Away, in a direction away from me. If I see you hustle away from me, great.
What makes me feel comfortable in your presence is to not be in your presence any longer.
Yeah.
So please exit. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks for writing in. If you have a ghost or killer or snake or worm or animal story that you want to share, you know where to find us. 703-829-0003. You could email us. Dear Text Me Back at gmail.com, or you could DM us on Instagram, or as my old boss used to call it, Instantgram at Text Me Back Pod.
Megan, you know how it's funny to call it Text Me Back Podcast?
Yes, I do.
Is it funny to call it Instagram website?
Yes. Can I say something really quick? God, this is going to be the longest episode in Text Me Back history, but I have been calling it Text Me Back Podcast because that's just funny to me. It's funny to me to say it like that, you know? And I just want to say that like 3 days ago, Lindy was like, Megan, can I say something? I think it's so funny that you call it Text Me Back Podcast. And I was like, thank you. It is funny. Why? I don't know. But I love it. And I felt so seen and loved by that comment. I just wanted to thank you publicly.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad to hear that. A similar thing happened recently, and I can't remember what it was, but you were like, it's really funny when you do that. And I was like, what's this feeling in my heart? My heart grew 3 sizes this day. Certain things just hit my brain right. And I like it when other people like it. Yeah.
Text Me Back Podcast. It's funnier than saying text me back.
It's funny.
You know it to be true, listeners.
So if you like Text Me Back Podcast, please subscribe to us on Patreon website.
Patreonwebsite.com. Okay, we're going to be right back, and we're going to say the famous phrase that indicates to you that this show is concluding. Bye. Well, Lindy, I gotta say, Tipsy Back Podcast, I think was a huge success.
Yeah,
You know?
I only said a couple things that didn't come out right that need to be deleted.
And you'll never know what they are. I think it's a great episode. Maybe I'll have a glass of wine before everyone. No, that's bad. And it's not professional. I won't do it.
It's okay if you do, Megan, because you know what? God put it here.
God put the grapes and he put the feet on the earth as well to smash the grapes.
Yeah.
And he put barrels on earth also.
And he put
the grapes in the feet.
And he put the buggies to ferment the grapes.
He certainly did. Oh, by the way, the buggies arrived and they arrived at my apartment.
Thank God.
I know. Literally, I was going to exit the planet if that lady got a third round of buggies. Jesus Christ. Look, great episode. I want to share something. I went to the mall, just really quick. I went to the mall last week. Can I say something about the mall? The mall freaking rocks.
Yeah.
Dude. I don't know if this was just nostalgia or what, but I was walking around the mall eating my little Popeye sandwich with pickles, by the way.
Good job. Great work. Love to hear it.
Pickles is still in the mix. Pickles still on the menu, which we love. Anyway, there are a lot of teens and they were all in my way, which was very annoying and they were obnoxious. But there was something very comforting about the idea that teens still go to the mall.
Yeah, I thought the mall was dead.
That's what they're saying. But I just had this thought. I was walking around the mall and I was like, the mall rocks. I love the mall. This is fun. There's all sorts of little stores, little items to peruse. There are chicken sandwiches there with pickles. I was having a blast and I was like, let's bring back the mall. Yeah. Does the mall have capitalism? Yes, it does. But you know what the mall also has? Community.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Orange Julius.
They have that too? No, I think it went out of business. But they do have chicken sandwiches, as I've mentioned. But they have community. Something to think about.
I know
that it's more convenient to just have a guy bring you stuff to your house. It's true. But does that guy get in your way outside of the Sephora? No, he doesn't. And that's what makes it fun.
That's the stuff of life.
Yeah, that's life, baby. I don't know. I just been spending, I know that now I'm going to get too serious, but I've just been spending a lot of time thinking about how to repair the ripped fabric of our society. Mm-hmm. And I think that a lot of it will involve spending time together.
Yeah.
And it just seems like the mall might be a really good place to do that. Because there's stores there also. You know. So we could like chat and make friends and then go buy some jeans. Doesn't that sound fun?
It's the modern day village market. It's the bazaar. It's the agora, Megan. It's a place for people to meet and greet and exchange ideas freely.
It's the freaking town square that the founding fathers loved so much when they wrote the freaking First Amendment. You feel me, dog?
Literally.
Anyways, I love them all. I went to Sephora, my favorite store, because I needed to purchase some items for my dead, aged skin. And usually I don't request the assistance of anyone because I find everyone at Sephora to be intimidatingly beautiful. Yep. And stressful in every way, parentheses, complimentary. But this time I was like, just sort of like crustily looking through the skincare. And this gentleman came up to me who worked there and he's like, what's next on your list? And I was like, I love that. Oh my God. Because usually they come up and they say, can I help you find anything? And I'm like, no, away. But what's next on your list was so inviting. I was like, oh, yeah. So I was telling him I was looking for an eye cream that I was thinking maybe got discontinued, and it had. And he's like, you know what you should get? You know what I use? And he goes, how old are you? And I was like, I don't know. How old do you think I am? And then he said a really low number, which I was like, stop. And he helped me pick out an eye cream. And he was like, I've been using this for forever. I've been working at Sephora since before they nailed Jesus on the cross. And I said, I was like belly laughing in the Sephora at this man talking about Jesus.
He got you.
He got me good. He got me good, girl. So he was telling me about the eye cream and he was like, I put it all around. You can use it at night and during the day. And I was like, great. I love this. And then I was like, I think they work on commission. So I was like, what's your name? And he goes, it's Denzel. And I was like, Denzel, great. And he goes, and he was like an older guy, like maybe like 5-10 years older than us. When he's like, it's Denzel. And I was like, okay, Denzel, great. And he's like, here's how you can remember it. I'm Denzel from Washington. And I said, he got me again. I was like fucking Lucille and Jean Parmesan. I was like, Denzel! He was cracking me up. So I don't think that I guarantee you Denzel from Washington does not listen to this podcast. But if you do, I love you so much. And I hope you got $1 billion in commission that day because you are the best. Thank you so much.
even though the eye cream
did do a crime to my eyeballs, but that is not Denzel's fault.
No, it's not.
I have an allergy to something in skincare that I cannot figure out what it is. So I'm just going to age. That's what I've decided. It's fine.
Can we get Denzel on the show?
I will go back to the Pentagon City Mall. And I will look, and you know what? I should have brought my tiny mic. So I will go back with my tiny microphone. I will see if Denzel is there. And I will say, Denzel, what all has happened to my eyeball? And we'll see what he says.
Oh, yeah. Please. Yeah, then we get closure on 2 stories. We get to find out the next chapter of your eyeball journey. And we get to hear from Denzel himself.
God, he's just a great person.
Straight from the horse's mouth.
I assume that Sephora is corporate policies that he's probably not allowed to talk to me. But he can just clock off and talk to me at the Popeyes and we can get sandwiches together or something.
Yeah.
It'll be amazing. And we can get jeans after. Doesn't that sound fun? Anyway.
I'm so excited to imagine that maybe the mall is going to come back.
God, I really want that. New Patreon tier. If you subscribe at the $100 month level or above, Lindy or I will take you to the mall. Lindy will take you to Northgate.
Yep.
And I will take you to the Pentagon City Mall and we can get Popeyes and put eye cream on our eyeballs until they close shut because of an allergic reaction. Doesn't that sound great?
Sounds amazing. When I was in high school, kind of like maybe before we were friends, like maybe like middle school, high school, that's all I did. I just went to the mall. I didn't shop. I just walked around. I sat.
Yeah.
I had an Orange Julius. I watched people because then like you would see people from school. You could like sort of passively, like, you know how a sea anemone just sort of sits there and collects particles in its little yeah. You just sort of like collect like gossip plankton. Like, oh, so-and-so is here holding hands with her. You know,
Did you go to Northgate? Did you go to Northgate? Was that your mall? Okay. I always went to Westlake because, you know, that one was a little more, it was closer to Queen Anne, but also it was like a little dirt baggier because you're outside. But it was kind of the same deal. You could always run into some dirt bag that, you know, and be like, ooh, scandal among the dirt bag class.
And I was always like, one of these days, again, here's my dark psychology. Much like at the Hype House, I was like, one of these days, one of these boys is going to see me and be like, there she is.
There's my girlfriend.
That's the one. That's my girlfriend.
I'm going to take her to this Red Robin and then we're going to get jeans at JCPenney together after.
Yeah.
Or Lamont's.
We're going to
jeans at Lamont's.
We're going to kiss next to the suit of armor outside the knife store.
The knife store. Not the knife store.
I mean, best case scenario, the suit of armor comes to life, and he says, "That's
he's the boyfriend."
Yeah.
Yes. Now we're cooking with gas.
But that never happened. But I did wait. I waited. I wandered. I watched.
Maybe you should go back. Maybe he's there now. He's been waiting for you.
I don't think Northgate's doing too hot
outside of the Panda Express.
Oh God, I love Panda Express.
Me too. Maybe I'll go there later.
If you subscribe at the $100 level, let's kiss at the Panda Express.
If you're the suit of armor outside of the knife store at the Northgate Mall, will you come to life and give us a call? Because I think I do want to kiss you. 703-829-0003.
If you're the suit of armor outside the knife store at the Northgate Mall, let's explore each other's bodies.
Parentheses, sexual. Thank you.
And that's the Tipsy Back show.
I hope you enjoyed Tipsy Back Podcast. I think it was crazy. And I'm looking forward to listening to it. I hope you are. I hope you did. I hope you are.
I hope you are looking forward to listen to it.
I hope you did do it too. And we'll see you next week.
Thank you so much for listening to Text Me Back. If you like the show, please tell your best friend about us. Be sure to rate and review us. It helps people find the show. And most importantly, please support our Patreon so we can keep making this. It's patreon.com/textmebackpod. Text Me Back is a production of Meagan and Lindy, proud members of the BFF network. Our senior producer is Megan Hatcher-Mays. Our other senior producer is me. Our show is supported by Co-Pilot Collective and produced by Allie Slice. Our digital strategist is Chance Nichols.
Diana Bowen is our video and creative wizard. Our production team includes Lindy West, Megan Hatcher-Mays, our loves, our anxieties, and our fears.
Our music is by Chief Ahamefule J. Oluo.
Special thanks to our perfect angels, Jeannie Yandel, Brandy Fullwood, and Isolde Raftery.
I'm Lindy West.
And I'm Megan Hatcher-Mays. See you next week. Mwah!